Why do people cry over a game? Why do millions of people say we won even though they never stepped onto the field? Why can a group of strangers wearing the same jersey completely change your mood? It sounds irrational until you understand what sports are really giving people. And once you do, you realize sports were never really about sports. Welcome back to Quietly Observing, where we talk about the things people do, think, and feel, but don't always talk about. The little habits, the unwritten rules, the strange things that connect us. And today, we're talking about something that millions of people experience, but many people outside of it will never fully understand. Sports fandom. More specifically, why do sports fans care so much? Why do people cry over a game? Why do grown adults celebrate championships like they personally won them? Why do fans say we won when they never stepped foot on the court? And why does a game played by strangers somehow feel so personal? Have you ever cried over a sports team? Not because you played, not because you know the players, not because you work for the organization, just because your team won, or maybe because they lost. And if you've never been a sports fan, you've probably looked at people like they're completely insane. Why are you crying? You didn't score any points. You didn't coach the team. You don't even know these people. They're becoming millionaires. The owners are becoming billionaires. You're the one spending money on tickets, jerseys, cable packages, and overpriced stadium food. So what exactly do fans get out of it? Why do people care so much? Why do fans say things like, we won, when they didn't actually do anything? And why does a game played by strangers somehow feel so personal? Today, I want to talk about the psychology of sports fandom. Because once you understand it, you realize sports were never really about sports. They're about something much deeper. Let's quietly observe. Sports are one of the strangest things we do. Think about it. A group of strangers you've never met puts on a uniform. They play a game. And somehow, the outcome affects your mood. A win can make your entire day. A loss can ruin your evening. You tell yourself you don't care. Then suddenly you're yelling at the television like the players can hear you. You swear you're done watching after a heartbreaking loss. Then you're right back in front of the TV for the next game. Why? What is it about sports that pulls people in so deeply? The answer starts with something everyone needs: belonging. For thousands of years, we survived because they belonged to tribes, family, communities, groups that provided safety and identity. Being part of something larger than yourself wasn't optional. It was survival. Today, most of us don't live that way anymore. Many people don't know their neighbors. Families are spread across different states and countries. People work remotely. Communities are smaller than they used to be. Yet the need to belong never disappeared. Sports filled that gap. Think about what happens inside a stadium. Thousands of strangers are wearing the same colors, chanting the same chants, cheering for the same outcome. For a few hours, everyone feels connected. People from different backgrounds, different incomes, different careers, different political beliefs, all united by one thing. Their team, for a brief moment, they feel like they belong somewhere. And that feeling is powerful. Far more powerful than most people realize. This is also why sports fans always say something funny. We won. We lost. We need better defense. We need a new coach. Who is we? You don't play for the team. You don't own the team. You don't work for the organization. Yet sports fans constantly say we. And here's why. Psychologists have found that people naturally connect their identity to groups. The groups we belong to become part of who we are. Your family, your city, your school, your culture. And for millions of people, their sports team. When your team wins, you feel proud. When your team loses, You feel disappointed because your brain doesn't view the team as completely separate from you. The team becomes part of your identity. Emotionally, it feels like we. That's why fans take criticism personally. That's why rivalries feel real. That's why fans defend players like they're family members. The team becomes part of who they are. But sports gives people something else. A story, let's be honest. Most days look pretty similar. Wake up, go to work, pay bills, handle responsibilities. Repeat. Sports creates drama. Every season becomes a story. There are heroes. There are villains. There are underdogs. There are comeback stories. There are heartbreaking losses. There are impossible victories. And unlike a movie, nobody knows how it ends. That's what makes sports so addictive. The outcome is real. Anything can happen. Hope stays alive. And fans become emotionally invested in the journey. Not just the destination, the journey. Now let's talk about one fan base that perfectly illustrates this. Knicks fans. Even if you're not a basketball fan, you've probably heard jokes about Knicks fans over the years. For decades, there were more disappointments than celebrations. Promises that never worked out. Playoff heartbreak. Bad seasons. Bad decisions. Years of waiting. Yet Knicks fans kept showing up. Every year. Every season. Every disappointment. Why? Because loyalty creates attachment. The more years you invest in something, the harder it becomes to walk away. You remember where you were when certain games happen. You remember who you watched with. You remember the conversations, the arguments, the hope, the frustration. The memories become attached to your life. At some point, the team isn't just entertainment anymore. It's part of your story. And that's true whether you're a Knicks fan, Yankees fan, Lakers fan, Cowboys fan, Packers fan, Arsenal fan, or any fan of any team. Sports become woven into the timeline of your life. This brings us to the part non-sports fans understand the least. The crying. Why do people cry after championships? Why do people cry after devastating losses? The answer is simple. They're not crying about the game. They're crying about what the game represents. Maybe they watched games with a parent who is no longer here. Maybe they've been following the team since childhood. Maybe they spent decades waiting for a moment they thought might never come. When the final buzzer sounds, years of memories hit all at once. The tears aren't about basketball. They're about life. The game simply unlocks emotions that were already there. That's why sports can feel so powerful. The championship is never just a championship. It's every year leading up to it. And let's address something people say all the time. The players don't know you. That's true. The owner is getting rich. Also true. You're spending all the money. Correct. But that's not really the point. People don't attend concerts because the singer knows them. People don't travel because the city loves them back. People don't watch movies because the actors know their names. People spend money on experiences that make them feel something. Sports is no different. Fans aren't paying for a personal relationship with athletes. They're paying for excitement, hope, memories, connection, community, moments they'll never forget. And for many people, those things are worth far more than money. The truth is, sports gives people something that's becoming harder and harder to find. A shared experience. Today, everybody is watching different shows, different social media feeds, different content, different worlds. Sports remains one of the few things where millions of people are experiencing the same moment at the same time. The same game, the same excitement, the same heartbreak, the same celebration. And that's rare. Maybe that's why sports continue to matter. Because deep down, people aren't just looking for entertainment. They're looking for connection. They're looking for belonging. They're looking for a reason to feel part of something bigger than themselves. So what do sports fans actually gain? not money, not championships, not rings, not trophies. What they gain is community, identity, memories, friendships, traditions, stories, hope, and maybe most importantly, a sense of belonging, a place where they feel connected, a community, a home. That's what people are really cheering for. The game is just the vehicle. So the next time you see somebody crying after a championship, before you say, you didn't win anything, understand what you're really looking at. You're looking at years of loyalty, years of memories, years of believing, years of hope. You're looking at someone who found meaning in something bigger than themselves. Because sports were never really about sports. They were always about people. And maybe that's why we keep coming back through the losses, through the disappointment, through the heartbreak, through the endless promises of next year. Because we're not really chasing a trophy. We're chasing a feeling. The feeling of belonging, the feeling of connection, the feeling that for a few hours, we are part of something bigger than ourselves. And maybe that's why sports fans say, we won. Because even though they didn't step onto the field, court, or ice, a part of them feels like they were there the entire journey. And honestly, maybe they were. If you've ever cried after a win, if you've ever cried after a loss, if you've ever said, we won, knowing full well you didn't play a single minute, you're definitely not alone. Let me know in the comments, what's your team? And what's the most emotional moment you've ever experienced as a sports fan? Until next time, keep quietly observing